We can say what we want up here, but that's truly what it comes down to today. Thank you very much.
All right, we're bringing it back for board discussion. Supervisor Garmin, this is your item, so go ahead and kick us off.
Thank you. I'm not sure where to start here. I've got all kinds of notes I wrote down in my notebook here. I wanted the public to go first so I can make notes. I do not have any kind of a prepared statement for this. I thought about it, and I thought, nope, I want to hear what the people say so I can respond that way. So I am going to start with, first of all, a couple people got up there and talked about me being a pastor. When I'm in this role, I'm a supervisor of the people of Shasta County. I'm not playing the role of a pastor. I mean, that's always there, but it's not what my focus is. My focus is on the people of Shasta County. With that said, Jesus, what you guys brought up, so I'm going to talk about it. Jesus commanded us to love one another. Jesus died on the cross so we can all have a chance at eternal life. He didn't just do that for Republicans or for MAGA people. He did it for every single citizen on this earth. And if you think otherwise, you're diminishing what Jesus did and how much he suffered. So stop. He died for everyone, and everyone deserves a chance. Let me look at some other notes here. When I first became a supervisor, I said I wanted to bring the people together. This is an opportunity for somebody who's been very vocal and very outgoing and sometimes very, rude. I'll say rude. That's absolutely correct. And with my conversations with Mr. Pinckney, we've had multiple conversations. I met him in my office yesterday. We talked about this. It's like, are you taking this seriously or are you taking this as a joke? Because if you're taking it as a joke, you're not my person. But I believe that he's taking this seriously, and this is an opportunity for our county to grow. Because if we cannot start working together from one side to the other, then this county has no chance, this state has no chance, and this country has no chance. We are gone off the deep end if we cannot. I want to pause right there, and I want to ask council a question. And this question comes up from Roneen. Roneen made a comment about she's afraid to work with Nathan on an ad hoc committee. It'll just be two people. If Nathan is out of line and I hear of this and I feel it's legitimate, can I remove him as a commissioner?
As being appointed by you, you can remove any appointed position that you've...
Then I would ask any of the three commissioners that are up there, if you feel that he is out of line, come to me. I will talk to you. I will meet with you in person, whatever that looks like. But don't bring me any AI-generated pictures or videos. Bring me some proof, and I will look into it. Absolutely. And Nathan, if you get to that point, I will remove you. Okay, this is not a joke. This is not put up there. And I'll get to the reason why I'm appointing you, who I don't agree with politically, by the way. And we've had those conversations too. So let me go back now. We have another comment I made after I was elected. I was going to go back and I was going to look into any wrongdoing in the different departments in the county. I cannot tell you how many times I went into the registrar of voters' office. Joanna can vouch for that because she was there a lot of those times. There is no wrongdoing. There is no cheating in Shasta County elections. I've got 3 colleagues up here on this board who believe otherwise. They have 3 commissioners who believe otherwise. I want a commissioner on the board who can kind of balance that out a little bit and look for other things. Supervisor Cry, you've asked me in the last couple of months, am I going to appoint somebody? Am I going to appoint somebody? And I told you I want to wait until after see what happens when we appoint a new ROV. And then I would make my decision. Had Joanna taken this role, and we've been smart enough to give this position to Joanna, I would not be appointing anyone today. We made a terrible mistake, in my opinion, and we gave the job to somebody else. And because of that reason, I want somebody up there in that role as a commissioner who can look out for what I want looked out, and I'm just going to say it. There have been numerous times the Supervisor Kreis wanted to see those recall petition signatures. We know this is real.
Explain to me when.
Okay. No, excuse me, I got the mic.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not a secret that he has wanted to see those signatures. We have a new ROV who's in place, who I don't know if he understands the law with that, but if those signatures are shown to Supervisor Cry, you could face charges from the Attorney General. So I don't know if you guys had some deal in place or whatever. I hope that's not the case. But that is my concern and part of my worry, and because of that, I want somebody up there who can at least keep an eye on things, because if I find out later that one of our county employees gets fired or loses their position, and they end up saying, well, yeah, I signed that petition, I'm gonna be pushing for an investigation into that. Because this is, if our elections are not protected, and my vote, or whoever's vote, is not protected, and then what is the point of having elections? There is no point at that point in time. So I'll stop right there, but I'll probably have more to say in a little bit as we go through all of this.
All right, Supervisor Garmin, do you have a motion?
Yeah, I will, and actually, I expect this to be a 5-0.
Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve this, and I think this will be it should be a 5-0 vote, because we've all appointed everybody else as people, even though we didn't necessarily agree with them. Like with Patty Plum, who's.
Is there a motion?
member
What's the
in
motion,
California.
Supervisor Garmin? Not a ramble, a motion.
I said the motion was to approve R4.
Is there a second?
No one second, aren't you going to second it?
There's a motion on the floor.
I'll
Is there a
second it.
second?
I'll second it to continue.
Okay, under board discussion, Supervisor Jones.
so, no,
Supervisor Jones. Go ahead, Supervisor Garmin. I don't want you to
No, I
feel
was just
slighted.
mentioning that Patty Plum's being a member of New California, and if a person can be on this commission, then we need somebody who can be on the other side. And I just can't emphasize enough with my conversations with Nathan Pinckney, he's gonna take this seriously. He's not taking this as a joke. And and then there's another thing I want to bring up. Numerous people came up here and talked about they're afraid of him and how he treats women. I trust that man around my wife and kids more than I would the people up here. Okay? And so don't give me that. Don't give me that. I'll stop.
Thank you, Chair. So, Chair, I appreciate you putting it on the agenda out of respect for an individual supervisor making an appointment. And I have supported Supervisor Rickert's appointment to this commission and Supervisor Garmin's in the past. This particular individual, though, represents something far different. And what I'm basing this on is his actual behavior in this room and outside this room.
Hey, it's back to board discussion. Let's just not do that. Let's let people finish so we can get this done before the noon hour.
So this particular individual at our very last meeting said the F word before he left the building. This particular individual has said the F word before at the dais or at the podium. He's also flipped people off. He's also had videos where he mentions and he says the N word 6 times and says it's okay for him to do it because he's black. It's not acceptable behavior for anybody, and now he wants me to appoint him to this commission, which he doesn't fully embrace. His behavior clearly shows a lack of basic respect for the work that we do at this board. I think this reflects extremely poorly on Supervisor Garmin for nominating this type of person to this committee. And so for me, it's an absolute hard no.
Supervisor Rickert.
You have Garmin.
I'm going to put Supervisor Rickert, we haven't heard from you, and then Supervisor Garmin can go
No,
after you.
I think Mr. Garmin is next in line. I think it's appropriate.
We haven't heard from you, Supervisor Rickert. As the chair, I'm asking you, would you like to go?
Hey, Mr. Garmin is next in line.
Are you giving your time, Supervisor
He may
Garmin?
have- Yes.
Supervisor Garmin?
No, I'm not.
She will still get her time. She has a right to that. You can't keep.
Absolutely, I just meant the order.
Okay, just.
And you're making stuff
just
up
making
anyway,
sure
so
we're
I'm just
clear.
making sure we're on the same page.
Okay, now Supervisor Jones, you mentioned Nathan saying the F word in here multiple times. Nathan deserves the opportunity to go to this commission and see if he can keep himself together and act accordingly. If he cannot, I will remove him from this position. I think that everybody deserves the opportunity. This is an opportunity to grow. And Nathan does get treated differently in this room than other people. For instance, just a few minutes ago, he went up to speak at the podium. He raised it up to his level. 11 seconds went by his time that he did not get back. Other people go up and move that around, they get their full 3 minutes. Let that sink in. The man does get treated poorly in this room.
That is so untrue. Stephanie Blankenship, I apologize as the chair because you've done a great job with the clock, and it has been the same exact for the entire day. So thank you to you and Valerie. Supervisor Rickert.
Okay. First of all, you all know that I'm not a strong proponent of this commission. I don't feel like it's been productive. I don't think it's accomplished much at all in the 6 months that it's been in existence. There's been a lot of rancor. There has been discussion about doing things that are contrary to state law. We've spent over $70,000 on the commission. With that being said, I'm also a conservative Christian woman. And I've prayed about this issue. Believe it or not, I pray every day. I pray every time I walk in this back door into the board meetings. I truly do. But I also know that this is a bipartisan position. That in Shasta County, as an elected official, as a supervisor, as a commissioner on this elections committee, it's all bipartisan. And I firmly believe that we need to have balance. I think Mr. Gardner used the word balance, and that really resonated with me. I also think that there's been a lot of short-term memory here. If anybody has some time, I would recommend that you go back and look at the 2020 videos of these board meetings. When people stood there, or in the back, or wherever they were speaking at the back, and they would say that they wanted to pull me out in the street, that there would be blood in the streets, that they were going to use ropes instead of bullets. I have had my life threatened in emails from this podium over and over again. I have been trashed for 4 solid years and disrespected. I've been called a liar by some of my fellow board members on the dais. So I am sorry. I don't approve of Nathan's behavior all the time. We've had a long conversation about this. He has promised me, and I agree with Tim, if there's any misbehavior, I'll be the first one to say, I think he should be removed. But I am going to support this. The other main reason, there's 2 main reasons I'm changing, I'm recalibrating, is that we now have a change in the ROV's leadership office. And I think it's really important that we have another set of eyes that has a different perspective, because again, this is a bipartisan position. We need to be fair and balanced. And that's what I am all about. We've got to be fair and balanced. I know Nathan has promised me he's going to be, as to quote Patty, the best version of himself. And Christ forgave everyone. All you have to do is look to Christ as to what we should do in this situation, in my opinion. We need to give people a second chance. They've been warned. If they can't fulfill the position to the best of their ability, then it's time that they move on. I want to make sure that every single voter in this county is being represented, not just one faction. We have to do that. If we do not, this county will never unite and heal. And if certain people don't feel represented and don't feel that their voice is being heard, then that isn't going to heal and unite us.
Then appoint somebody with good character there. That's right. Pick a different Democrat.
Stop from the floor. Don't interrupt her.
And that is exactly my point. That is the kind of behavior they are criticizing Nathan Pickney of having, but yet they are projecting their own personalities. Anybody who knows what projection is in psychology, that is exactly what I'm talking about. It has not stopped for me for 4 years. It's been, you go back and you look at those 2020 board meetings, they were a nightmare. They were a nightmare. I have had, by the way, obviously my license plates have been stalked. I've had my car vandalized while parked up here while I'm in a board meeting. I've had CIT, crisis intervention meetings with county staff because of emails of death threats. So yes, you talk about not feeling safe. I haven't felt safe for 4 years, but I'm not going to let anybody stop me from doing my job. And that's why I'm here. And I am not picking favorites. I'm not picking sides. I'm picking people that will bring balance to this commission. And it's really dangerous to have one-sided views on commissions or any place, because then you're not representing all the people, and all the people are not feeling that they're being heard. And that's why I am going to be in favor of this.
Supervisor Kelster.
Yeah, while you're reviewing those 2020 tapes, maybe you should review the 2022 tape, Pastor Garman, when Nathan himself sat right at that podium and yelled out, "Hail Caesar, hail Satan," after disparaging us praying and the Christians praying before they spoke. So you might want to look into that. Hail Satan, Pastor Tim.
All right, so here's the process for me. When Margaret Hanson came up to Appoint, and we had that discussion with Supervisor Garman and Jones and all of us talking about, I believe in the sanctity of the office. I believe that as supervisors, and especially as chair, I take the responsibility and understand it's much bigger than me, it's much bigger than any of us. It's not about a person, personal feelings, it's about the role. So for the last few days, I've received, obviously, like we all have, a ton of emails, and obviously people giving their opinions one way or the other. And I said, repeatedly, I said, hey, Supervisor Garman has the ability to appoint, that's on him. I said, I'm not really interested in blocking appointments by various supervisors. I said, as bad as that is, I said, I feel it is my duty to do that. And that's what it's been. I actually even sent Supervisor Garman a text, which I'm going to read because, interestingly enough, it was FOIA'd. Hard to believe that. And I sent Supervisor Garman a Facebook message I received by a lady that hopefully County Council will black out the name, but it's pretty lengthy about harassment and threats and things that had happened in her personal life with the intended person being appointed. Don't know this person. And I said, congrats, Pastor Garman. This is one of about 20 I've received. It's your right, and I still believe in each and every supervisor's right to appoint. This is absolutely a new low, even for you. And you do, Supervisor Garman, continue to go to newer and newer lows. And I will say this. The Election Commission, as well as Supervisor Jones, wanted me to look at these signatures so many times. And I said, I could care less. I said, because the voters will speak, and that's what it is. And you can ask Ronnie Lund, you can ask Lisa Mashad, who was my commissioner at the time, because they wanted me to lead an effort because they said I was legally entitled to it for some election code. Supervisor Jones could attest to that. I said, I don't care. It's going to a ballot. I just don't care. And that has been my stance. So Supervisor Garman, I challenge and dare you to find any shred of evidence or person I've spoken to about that. Because it is I don't know who the gentleman is. Maybe we could all just take a look at him because he obviously didn't get a lot of attention as a kid and he just wants to keep speaking up. So here's the reality with this whole thing. Annalise Pierce from Shasta Scout reached out to me yesterday and said there's a possibility that we didn't follow some type of protocol in our process of the hiring with the ranking system. So it started me down this whole path of saying, well, you know what, that very well may be. I believe as a board, we voted to amend how we would do the ranking system, so I wanted to be clear. So I called Council Larmer, and we had talked about a few different things, because quite honestly, as chair, when I started, I was in the middle of an election, and I had a ton on my plate. So I take a lot of things for staff's word. So I'm reading as much as I can to prepare for these meetings. And now what I've looked at is like I talked about earlier in the consent calendar and public comment. By our policy, those should be combined. So that's why I read earlier that we're going to go back by the policy. And as we're looking at the staff report, I wanted to look at our bylaws and the ordinance of how we appoint. Because if we're going to go by the letter of the law and what matters, I want to do that because that's how I make my decisions. Once I make my decision, my yes is a yes and no is no. So here's what I will tell you. In Article 3 of Membership, Section 3.1, the commission shall consist of 5 members appointed by the board, each of whom will be selected by different supervisors. Members must be of good character and be registered voters of Shasta County at the time of appointment. So here's the thing. When I told Supervisor Garman I would support your appointment, I meant that. What I should have said was as long as it is by our bylaws that we've adopted, because I care about, please don't interrupt, because I believe in the sanctity of the office of which we serve, not about the politics. Many people over here have been pissed and livid because they knew I stood on the principle of, hey, I care about the office. Well, you'll lose your base. I could care less about a base. This job has done nothing but cause me grief and lost a ton of money. I do it because I care about the people of Shasta County, just like the ordinance or the charter thing I brought forth. So when this says members must be of good character, I believe everybody gets a second chance, a third chance, a fourth chance, but what you don't get to do is nobody up here gets to say what I believe good character is. I have had multiple text messages from this individual, and I'm not, whether people feel unsafe or other things have happened or there's been a gun pulled here, I could care less about any of that. What I care about is the individual correspondence I've had with this individual. And there is nothing about it at all that conveys to me good character. I will be voting no. Supervisor Garment. Please don't interrupt. We're going to work. Supervisor Garment.
Thank you, Chairman Cry. I didn't figure you would vote yes on this, even though you said multiple times, including the text the other day. I know you better than that, and I know you're a well-known liar, and so you didn't surprise me. It was no surprise at all.
No, Supervisor Garment, I'm not going to interrupt him because this is what you waited your entire life for, is to be cheered on by those individuals. So maybe they'll carry you on your
I asked
shoulders.
Supervisor Cry to quiet the crowd.
Oh, hey, listen, quiet up. Supervisor Garment wants to talk. Sorry. I'm sorry. I just figured you'd want that because it's all about the
It's not
showmanship.
about that,
It's
Kevin.
all about wearing a
It's not about
T-shirt,
that at all.
and it's all about tearing the fabric of this community apart.
It's about being honest. It's about being honest. And you talk about good character, when you lose your honesty and you lie to people, maybe you need to look in the mirror. And counsel, can you define good character and what it means under our stuff there?
No, that's a subjective standard.
Subjective.
And because there is no definition within.
There is no definition. So with that, you should be voting yes.
Explain to me, Supervisor, I mean, enlighten us a
I
little
don't
bit.
think this has anything to do with this. I think it has to do that he's an
I
authority.
think you have a hard time articulating your thoughts.
Take your vote.
That's what I think. All right. So let's go ahead and take the vote. We'll start with a roll call with Supervisor Rickert.
Yes.
Supervisor Rickert? Supervisor Kellstrom?
No.
Supervisor Cry?
No.
Supervisor Jones?
No.
And Supervisor Garmin?
Yes.
Fails to approve. We're going to move on to the closed session public comment cards. Do we have any of those?
Chair, we've received no request to speak for items on closed session.
Okay, as of right now, it looks that closed session is going to take approximately 45 minutes. We may be back by 12:30, so we'll say we will not start coming back until 12:30. It may be a little bit longer. We are at recess.